David, are we good to go? Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Columbus Common Council Committee of the Whole meeting, special meeting tonight. And I call the meeting to order at 6:33 and could have a roll call for this, please.
Finkler.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Hammer.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
Acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Okay, could I have a motion then to approve the agenda for this special meeting?
Move to approve the agenda.
Gray seconds.
I have a motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Gray to approve the special meeting agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And item number 4, consider confirming the appointment of Jacob Holbart as the utility director as recommended by the Utility Commission at their meeting of March 4th of 2024. So is there any discussion on this matter moving forward?
Do we have any information on this person?
I can just share that the Utility Commission went through an interview process. Stephanie Mache, our Human Resource Administrator, was involved through the duration of the process. There was consensus on the selected candidate, has years of experience in utility operation, is a certified wastewater operator by the state of Wisconsin, very qualified, very experienced individual that excited to bring to our team.
Alder Reed.
Oh, no, it was the same question. I do believe in the Utility Commission, and I do feel assured that Jacob Holbert will be a wonderful choice. This is just a little unfortunate for the council to go into this blind. This is a huge new position, and we really just needed some more information up front.
Alder Motive.
I am going to act on the faith of the Utility Commission, knowing that they do a good job of interviewing, and make a motion to confirm the appointment of Jacob Holbert and have that move forward.
Point of order.
Not in,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
We don't need a
We're just
motion,
moving.
right?
No motion, this is,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we're cow. I was
Yes.
like, what?
yeah, this is just a point of moving this forward, so.
So move it forward.
Are we good with moving this forward?
Sorry, Joe.
No, that's,
Hold that thought for another
yeah. Okay, with that, then I would entertain a motion. Oh, do you have something further to say?
I mean,
Alder Gray.
I'm in the same boat. Like, I don't like doing business this way. This is not appropriate. But I also don't want to hold up a vital position in our city, and I believe that they were thoroughly vetted. It's just not having any information in front of us to act on is difficult. So, but I'm also in favor of moving it forward.
Anything further? If not, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
Second.
Then a motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Motive to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Now, on this one, you can make a motion.
Yes.
Okay, we will move on then to the,
Mood lighting.
anyways, we will move on to the Columbus Common Council regular meeting, and welcome to all of you this evening. and welcome to those that are watching watching virtually. There we go. Call the meeting to order at 6:38, and could I have a roll call, please?
Finkler.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Hammer.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
Acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and this time I would look at a motion to approve tonight's agenda, noting, if you will, an item number 7. Please note between the number, and this is in the claims, between the number 8 and 6, that should be a decimal and not a comma. So with that, I would look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move to approve the agenda with the update on item number 7 to the second comma being a period for 61 cents.
Alder Rolke will second.
Okay, I have a motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Rolke to approve the agenda. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda approved. On to correspondence and communications. We have people signed up this evening. We will impose a 3-minute limit. So the first would be Victoria, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to. Battalion. So if you could state your name and address and the topic on which you're talking.
Is it on already, too?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's on.
great, thank you. Okay, so my name is Victoria Battalion. I live at 6 Fieldstone Trail, which happens to be right next door to the Dingy Farm, which is why I'm here. So, I live here in town, grew up here in town. I also own a business inside of a salon here in town, and I have children who also attend our schools. So anybody who's rooted for Columbus, it's me. I am concerned that I do not want to see apartments next door, and I have reasons. You already have apartments across the street, and the majority of those at the Colonial Manor, and I'm not sure what the name of the brown tan beige one is, they all park on the street. They're not utilizing the parking in the parking lot or underground parking. If you put more apartments across the street, we're going to continue to have more cars parked on the street, and I just think that's a problem. I also am just concerned at what is this going to do to the neighborhood I live in. It's a desirable neighborhood. What effects is it going to have on all of our home values? I would like to see either perhaps homes that mimicked the value of the homes surrounding us, or also I was not opposed to the event venue. But really, it just comes down to, I think we're also rushing something as well. We are in a housing crisis, I agree. I just think we need more homes, not apartments. Tower Drive might be a great location for apartments. Because at the end of the day, if we're only putting in 14 homes, are we really fixing the problem, or are we going to be back in the same problem 3 years from now? So we kind of have to do something, 20, 30, 40 homes. Now, my neighborhood was always supposed to be expanded. That has never happened, and I understand farm owner owns it. They don't want to work with the city. Kestrel Ridge was supposed to have an expansion, and I also know that whatever is off of Dick Street is kind of being developed but not finished, and parts of it are being developed. So I think those would be great spots that we could really focus on developing and actually get homes that are going to raise our property tax, because apartments aren't going to do that. That's kind of all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ann Ehlenfeld. And if you could state your name and address and the topic that you speak on.
I'm Ann Ehlenfeld. I live at 160 Inglesby Street, not too far from the Dingy Farm, so I consider myself a neighbor. The farm that we're talking about is the farm that Mayor Hammer seemed to feel a few weeks ago that public opinion of the restoration of this farm is very divided. It doesn't seem like that. It seems like, more correctly, it is clear that public opinion is firmly behind. And I say that because I see the farms, I talk to people, or the signs, and I talk to people, and I've talked to very few that weren't very affirmative about this farm being renovated. This farm is an icon, a Columbus icon, and you say, what's an icon? It's something widely admired, especially for having great significance to whoever you're talking about or whatever you're talking about. And here we're talking about the city. The history of this particular icon was that it was here when our city was developing, and it helped our city to develop. That is very significant. 6 families have owned this dingy farm. Even a former mayor from Columbus owned it. He didn't live there, but he did own it. The farm was rich in history for raising horses with a track across the road. That drew in people to Columbus. That drew in horse trainers and their families. It drew in people who were interested in horse racing, and it brought people to Columbus to live here and raise their families. The early farm was a place of fun, interest, work, and activity. It became a draw for the community of Columbus. Today, the residents I talked to would like to see this kind of draw in Columbus again. And they talk about that farm becoming that kind of a draw, having fun, interest, activities there, work there. It covers all of those 4 things. We have a chance to make a change. We have a chance to make a more welcoming community, and the restoration of the farm can help do that. That farm, on the edge of town like that.
And you have 30 seconds.
Wow, okay, that farm can do it. History draws people, and history is liked by people. That is history. But I want to say to the council, most importantly, I am asking you to delay the fate of what's going to happen to this farm until after the spring election. Let people
Okay,
be
time.
more involved, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Marcia from River Road. I can't quite make out your, pardon? Klogman. Okay, so if you could state name, address, and then the topic.
Yes, I'm Marcia Ploggeman, and I live at 480 River Road. We've been there just 5 years. My husband's going, I can't believe it's 5 years already. But we love Columbus. We love it's quiet. It's a nice community. But we'd like to see things start being, moving forward with it. If anybody's been to Cedarburg, they can see what a town of culture and history is. And I feel the venue that they're talking about opening would be the good start for that. So we had a lot of high rises before we left Sun Prairie, and we had low-income housing moving in right down the street from us. So that's one of the reasons that we moved to Columbus, besides the fact that our grandchildren had all grown up and we couldn't have time with them anymore, but other than special time projects or whatever that we did. But I'd love to see this venue wait, if the voting needs to wait till after the next election so that the community can talk about it a little bit more, I would love to see that, and I think it would be a real asset to have this venue come in. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Jesse, and there again,
Don't worry, no one gets it right on the
Okay.
first shot. I'm Jesse Pikeholst. I live at 1312 Jennifer Street, actually in Madison on the Isthmus. Our neighborhood there has 2 of Madison's 5 historic districts. I have served as the chair of the Preservation and Development Committee of that neighborhood. I've worked in historic preservation and restoration in my neighborhood for 20-plus years now. I wanted to say something about the barns on the Dingy property. I'm an advocate for the Save Dingy campaign. I think there's some misnomer that's been repeated about not just the savability, but the value and the historic and architectural value of those barns in and of themselves. I've crisscrossed the state on a bicycle 4 separate times. It was something of a rite of passage in my family. 400 miles in 6 days, Sagbrow, if any of you have heard of it. In that time, I've seen much of this state. But driving around in this corner of Columbia County, one thing that's very unique is the concentration of late 1800s Cream City brick farmhouses. It's very unique how many of them there are here. And I know you might think, okay, the Dingy home, therefore, is maybe not that special. On the contrary, its architecture is, many of these are simple farm homes. This Italianate home is gorgeous and ornate and very architecturally important. That being said, of all of the farm homes that I've seen driving around looking for them in this vicinity, none of them have any barns that are of the architectural significance and historical importance as the main one particularly, and even the second that sit on this property. They are unique specimens that have historical value. And I will say, having met the barn specialist contractors that we got bids for renovating these properties, is contrary to claims made by a number of folks.
Jesse, 30 seconds.
Thank you. That they're eminently savable, contrary to what you may have been told. And we had bids on them from 2 different barn specialists that actually, they did not talk to each other. Those quotes were remarkably similar to each other, which really reinforces that none of the contrary claimants have presented anybody by name. Certainly no one who would put any of those assertions into writing that the barns are not
Time.
savable. Thank you.
Next would be Elizabeth Gilbertson. Name, address, and topic.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gilbertson. I live at 548 South Charles Street. I just wanted to make sure that as things move forward and decisions are made and considerations are made, that we keep preservation in the forefront of those decisions. You've heard numerous stories about the Dingy property and people growing up and people living here and watching the farm and what an icon it is. But I guess my statement is basically, please keep in mind that preservation really is important to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is John Johnson. And state your name and address and topic, please. Thank you.
I'm John Johnson, live at 709 Avalon Road. I've been here since 2009. I just think the Dingy property is my topic. I just think you have an opportunity to restore something that's unique and, is going to stand out in the community. You can drive around all southern Wisconsin and find all kinds of communities that got all kinds of apartment buildings. Nobody's going to remember those, but they might remember the Dingy property. I just think it's, you have people willing to spend the money and do it. Why don't we? don't understand why the city even purchased the property, but that's another story. That's my stance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is, and I'm, Cheryl, is it? Yep. Okay. So if state your name and address and topic, please.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Davis, and I live on 500 River Road. We are new by 5 years to Wisconsin, and when we first drove in to Columbus, that was the first farm we saw, and I just loved it. And I think that destroying history is really a sad thing. It needs to be preserved, and I think this should wait. I just learned about it not that long ago. So and I'm around, and I honestly believe that more people need to know about it before you make a decision. So I would like to see a wait until the next vote. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Pauline Sneath. So,
I need a pedestal here, y'all. My name is Pauline Sneath. I live at 444 West Prairie Street in Columbus. And this is about Dingy Farm. I have something here I want you all to see. This is in the City Council office. History and Architecture Tours of Columbus. I understand the first thing I wanted to kind of talk about was first thing I want to talk about is, one is I wanted to voice the main thing was about the Dingy Farm was putting it off till after the April election because things are going to change possibly after that. And I think that, as other people are saying, they didn't know about it and this and that and the other, so therefore it would be a good idea to talk about this. I understand also there's a closed session after the meeting in which there's going to be some discussion, but I also know that nothing can be done in that meeting. So just that voices that concern. The biggest thing I want to is that during the time period while we wait till the election, if we can put it off till after the election, is that nothing else be done. No proposals, no property, no demolition, nothing be done in that respect. I also wanted to talk about saving history. I have lived in a number of places in the United States. We moved here about 20 years ago. We bought a house on Prairie Street, which is a Victorian home, a George Barber home. George Barber was counterpart to Frank Lloyd Wright. We lived in a lot of places where they preserved their history in the South, in the eastern part of Ohio, beautiful little communities, wonderful old homes, historic places. They're very careful about their districting, what goes on and what was being put into the community. So they created very lovely places. You have something here that is irreplaceable. And you all need to think about that. Once it's gone, it's gone. There'll be no more of this kind of stuff. And you start going, I'm seeing things that used to be here gone. Okay. So my biggest deal is, if indeed we go to development, high-rise apartments is not probably the answer. The other thing is, it affects all those beautiful little neighborhoods that surrounded that. Their skyline will change, property values are going to change. I've seen that elsewhere I've lived. The last thing I want to do is to reinforce, if you do something, please put in penalties, put in fines, and make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. Because I have the pet place that we built here, and they let stuff off, and in the afternoon on Wednesdays, there's a smell, and it's cooking cat food. I didn't used to have a lot of these problems.
Okay, we have to move on
here.
to the next
Thank
one.
you.
Thank you. And next is Roger. And name, address, and topic.
Hi, everybody. My name is Roger Sneath. You have all had the pleasure of meeting my very tall wife, Pauline, just a few moments ago. Why am I here? I'm here tonight on the first of two topics. The first topic is to announce my candidacy as a write-in candidate for district run for city alderman. Why do I want to do this? My first action as an elected city alderman will be to support the restoration and maintenance of the Dingy Farm. So for all of you who are here listening on TV, if you could see me on see me, and those of you who are listening, support my candidacy for a write-in, because after a lot of consideration and research, I have come to the conclusion that the Dingy Farm needs to be saved. I don't want to take anything away for those who are here at City Council who have dedicated their public service and time to trying to do the best they can for the city. I just think I can do better. I have a lot of experience. I've served as a city council person for 3 terms, 6 years, and during that time we accomplished many, many great things. I think that if I'm successful in being elected as a write-in candidate, you gotta write me in. I'm not going to be able to make the deadlines to be able to be an official candidate on the ballot. But for those of you who want to pay attention and get the word out, my first action will be to support the preservation and the saving of the Dingy Farm and to look for other opportunities for development for this city, because I do indeed think we can do better. Those are my remarks on the first topic, so I would very much appreciate your support. Thank you. My name is Roger A. Sneath. I live at 444 West Prairie Street. My name is spelled S-N-E-A-T-H, if you want to remember me. And all it takes is a check on that ballot box when you come in to be able to get me elected, and then I will serve as a very responsible and responsive alderperson for you in this district.
I think you need to move on to the next topic.
Okay, 3 minutes. I'm here also to talk about the Dingy Farm as a second topic. I have looked and tried to do my best at understanding the research, and as much as I appreciate the public service and what has been offered by those who sit on this council, and for you also, Honorable Mayor, I believe you're in the wrong place at this time. I think as we're looking at opportunities for development for our city, looking to the 2050 plan, first of all, is the wrong place to look. It doesn't make sense, it's not sustainable, and we could all debate that for a lot of time. So don't try to stand on the 2050 plan for a position for being able to go forward with development. Our community needs development in a wide variety of sources. Some of them are related to, there's a retail corridor, in my opinion, that deserves some, I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic. So Dingy Farm, retail corridor, manufacturing corridor, residential are the 3 pieces that we need to be focusing on. But if we're talking about Dingy Farm, demolishing that farm for the very few units that can be put up, particularly with the constraints that must be met in terms of meeting affordable housing in Columbia County, it doesn't make sense. I'm asking for one action item this evening by this council. That is defer action on any decision on the property until after the election. If you're able to make that decision, there may be different people at the table. I know last time the vote was 3-3. It was a tie. Mayor, I know that you're asked to break a tie. If there is a 4-2 vote, there will not be a tie. And I believe if I'm sitting in the chair, we can eliminate that tie. Thank you for listening to me on this topic tonight.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Okay. With that, we will move on to the consent agenda. I will note that under the last council meeting, just a correction on item number 4, it should be Jake Tanner and not Jake Boness. It was Jake Tanner that, of the Water Department. In the minutes, yeah. There is no operator licenses tied in with this tonight. So it'd be the picnic license for the Wellspring Healing Incorporated for March 15th, approve the picnic license for Columbus 4th of July Incorporated for June 30th through July 8th, and then approve the street closing application for the Columbus 4th of July Incorporated on July 4th of 2024. So I would look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Alder Motif will make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda with the name correction in the minutes as noted by the mayor.
Reed will second.
Motion by Alder Motif and a second by Alder Reed to approve tonight's consent agenda. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda approved. On to new business. Item number 1 is to approve the confirmation of the appointment of Jacob Holbert as the utility director per Columbus Utilities recommendation.
Okay, now?
Yes, now you can do it.
I would like to support the Utility Commission by saying that I'm sure they did a great job at vetting the candidate, and I would like to make a motion to confirm his appointment.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Alder Motif and a second by Alder Finkler to approve the appointment of the utility director. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then.
Do we need a roll call? I know
Roll call on
it's not
that?
technically for money, but you're spending money because you're hiring somebody.
Well, it's,
the budget already.
yeah.
You do not need one, you
Okay.
can always request one.
Oh, well, no, I'm good. I just want to make sure.
Okay, then next on the agenda is to approve Rupert Melke's recommendation to award the 2024 street projects bid to Forest Landscaping and Construction. And then Jason is here if there's any further questions for him.
I'll move to approve the award to Forest Landscaping and Construction for 2024 street projects.
Motif will second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Motif to approve the bid award to Forest Landscaping and Construction for the 2024 street projects. Any discussion on this? Jason, you have a comment?
Yeah, could I clarify just that the motion does include the mandatory alternates and maybe the dollar that you're approving it for, just to be formal?
Okay.
Exactly what I was about to say.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I will amend my motion to approve the bid to Forest Landscaping Construction for the 2024 street projects for all of the mandatory alternates with a total of $1,225,571.25.
Motif will still second.
Okay. And motion, amended motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Motif to approve the bid. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call.
Reed.
Aye.
Motif. Aye. Finkler.
Aye.
Steiner.
Aye.
Relke.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 6-0.
Okay, next on the agenda is to take action on the Dollar Tree CSM. Matt, is there anything you'd like to clarify on that?
This was previously approved by the council pending their edits of staff comments. They've made those comments and the time frame has elapsed similar to how the Quick Trip one came to you at the last meeting. So it's back in front of the council for approval.
Oh, you had your.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Alder Gray moves to approve the CSM for the Dollar Tree.
Alder Rolke will second.
Okay, motion by Alder Gray and a second by Alder Roki to approve the CSM for the Dollar Tree. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next on is to approve the chicken permit for 749 Fuller Street. A site visit of the property has confirmed the location of the coop, and it was consistent with the application. All setback and lot coverage requirements have been met.
I'll move to approve the chicken permit for 749 Fuller Street.
Gray seconds.
Okay, a motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Gray to approve the chicken permit for 749 Fuller Street. Any further discussion on this item?
Just the same discussion that I mentioned last time. I don't believe the city council needs to approve these, and if we could please alter this so that we don't have to in the future.
Okay. Sound nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, any other further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Then next is to approve the CHLPC Summer Concert Series.
Alder Rolke will move to approve the CHLPC Summer Concert Series.
Gray seconds.
Okay, motion by Alder Roki and a second by Alder Gray to approve the Summer Concert Series for CHLPC. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Just to note, June 19th is Vintage Vegas, July 17th is Wanakee Swing Band, and August 14th is the Mark Croft Trio. So I'm looking very forward to that. That'll be awesome. Okay, then next on the agenda is to consider and take action on ordinance 787-24, an ordinance to repeal and recreate sections 240 and 251 of the Code of Ordinances. So I would look at a motion to approve suspending the rules for ordinance 787-24.
Alder Steiner will make a motion to suspend the rules concerning ordinance 787-24.
Motive will second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Steiner and a second by Alder Motif to suspend the rules. Any discussion on this? Alder Reed.
Oh, thank you. I still had a question on section 2, that's section 2-51, subsection B. The sentence of, if the presiding officer determines that comments are off-topic, abusive, or otherwise out of line. Just wondering if we do want to keep in that comments are off-topic. Sometimes interesting and useful information is presented that isn't on the agenda.
We have to finish B. Yeah, we have to finish B before we go through that.
Suspending rules.
Okay. Yeah, so under C would be your.
Under C, okay.
So we'll address it under C. Okay.
So Alder Motif will make a motion to waive the readings on.
Well, we didn't, we haven't voted yet. Yeah.
You just need to vote.
Yeah.
Just a vote.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for suspending the rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, there we go. Now on to item B, which is to waive the readings of ordinance 787-24.
So again, I will make the motion to waive the readings on ordinance 787-24.
Gray will second.
A motion by Alder Modoff and a second by Alder Gray to waive the readings. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then next would be to take action to adopt ordinance 787-24. So a motion for that.
Alder Steiner will make a motion to adopt ordinance 787-24.
Motive will second.
Okay, Alder Steiner, motion to adopt the ordinance 787-24 with a second by Alder Modoff. Now discussion.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Now I have my question on section 2-51, subsection B. I just don't know if we should leave in that one sentence for the comments are off topic.
I would say that because it's a subjective nature as to what is off topic and it's up to the presiding officer to maintain the pace of the meeting, it probably should be in there to have that authority to do so. And it normally, with not much of an issue, usually you let people finish what they're saying to clear their thoughts, but at the same time, if something does go off topic, they need the authority to stop whatever it is that they're doing if it's way out of line from what we're looking for.
Alder Gray?
I agree with Alder Steiner. I think the presiding officer does need to be able to conduct a meeting efficiently, and if things are off topic, we need to be able to stay to the meeting agenda, or we can't get our business done. That is important. The one caveat that I would be amenable to is that is how city council meetings work, and committee of the whole meetings could. I'm not as concerned about committee of the whole meetings necessarily being on topic with conversation. I think that is a time where citizens could voice their opinion. But I do believe our regular council meetings should remain on topic, and the presiding officer needs that authority.
I thought the last time we discussed this, we were not going to restrict to agenda items, and that was like the path moving forward. So speaking to what Trina was saying, if we're going to say the presiding officer shall announce the agenda item instead of topic, and then maybe you can leave off topic in there, but I feel like we're splitting hairs, but we really need to be careful. Wording is a big deal, and I feel like we all the majority of us felt like you should not be restricting based on agenda items, so I think we should follow through on that.
I don't
Okay.
disagree.
ahead.
But the way I'm reading this, Attorney Johnson, correct me if I'm wrong, is this just gives the option to say it's off topic. It's not saying that nobody can.
Right. This is, I left this sentence in there, and I actually put it in there to have this conversation. And there's really two choices, and one is to remove it, which puts the presiding officer in a little bit of a logjam if somebody decides to hijack the meeting, so to speak. And the other option is to give the presiding officer the ability to shut it down, which then raises First Amendment questions. So it's a fine line either way. I chose to leave it in because it is not something that you're going to be using on a regular basis, but it's good to have it in case of an emergency and then deal with the fallout then. But I think the conversation either way is good.
Alder Gray?
I think if we want to allow off-topic comments, it should be during the committee of the whole. That's the time that we are meant to be hearing from the public, not our regular council meeting. That is when we are meant to be conducting business. So for me, I personally would like to go closer to our original ordinance, and if citizens that have comments on topics that are on the agenda of our regular meetings can comment just before we talk about that topic at the regular meeting, and everything else, those comments should go to the committee of the whole. I don't think there should be anything off topic. It should just, committee of the whole is when you can speak your mind about whatever topic. That's my personal opinion. I didn't think it was broken.
Alder Steiner.
I'll just reiterate, and I agree with Alder Gray there, that the Common Council is where we conduct our finalized business. So any topic of discussion there should be limited to that topic. But the committee of the whole is just discussion, where we hear all the impertinent and pertinent information coming from wherever angle that we have, and we have that discussion for it. And that's much more efficient to have those topics there as opposed to the Common Council, where if there's last minute something somebody needs to say, it's that topic. Otherwise, we're stuck here all night bouncing from meeting to meeting.
Alder Reed.
Thank you. So my follow-up question is if we should change subsection C on the committee of the whole, where it has essentially the same phrase of off-topic, abusive, or otherwise out of line. Would we want to remove that phrase there?
Well, Alder Finkler.
I think now the route we're turning on this is changing what was discussed at COW, because now we're looking for a lot more changes to this ordinance, because the words Common Council or the Committee of the Whole, they are grouped together. And what I'm hearing now is we're asking for them to be separated, and restrictions on council and no restrictions on COW. So if a decision can't be made and there's still discussion that needs to be done, I propose that we postpone this until the next COW.
Alder Gray.
I mean, honestly, I don't have anything strongly against the proposed ordinance. I was more of trying to compromise and say, if we want something where we don't have restrictions on what they're saying, I believe the COW is the place for that, not the council meeting. So if that was something that like Alder Finkler and Alder Reed felt strongly about, I would be amenable to making the council meeting. People can speak at the agenda item, 2 agenda items only, and the COW is free speech of whatever they want to speak of. That was just me trying to compromise. I'm still okay with this ordinance if the majority is.
Alder Motive.
I think the ordinance is fine the way it is because it's fine for multiple situations. But I will say that I agree with Alder Finkler. I think there's a lot more discussion to be had here, and we should table this for now.
So, table until the,
It takes a motion.
You have a motion on the table that needs to be voted on
Oh, correct,
first.
correct.
Then you can decide what you wanna do with, after that. But you do have a motion to approve as drafted, I believe, waiting for a vote.
can you remind me who made the motion?
Steiner and Motive.
Okay. Thank you. So with that and the, okay.
Can I add one
Matt.
thing?
Yes, please.
A reminder that tabling a motion essentially kills the motion. It puts it away, and someone has to make a motion at a subsequent meeting to bring it back, and then on the next meeting, it can be discussed. The proper is postpone.
Okay. So with that, and the discussion that we had, all in favor of adopting this ordinance as stated, signify by aye.
Aye. I would request a roll call vote.
Oh, roll call, okay, all right. Roll call.
I think we're a little too.
Nope, that's fine, that's good.
Finkler.
Nay.
Roelke.
Nay.
Gray.
Honestly, I don't think this one hurts to discuss once more, so nay.
Steiner.
Aye.
Motive.
My mama taught me to pick my battles carefully, so I'm going to say nay.
Reed.
Nay.
5 nay, 1 yes. Motion does not carry.
So can we make a motion to
Yep.
postpone it then?
Yes.
So you were first on it, so you
Oh.
go ahead.
Alder Finkler moves to postpone the conversation on 787-24 into the next committee of the whole meeting.
Motive will second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Motive to postpone till the March 19th Committee of the Whole meeting. Any discussion further on this?
I would just like to clarify direction for staff so that we can get a good discussion of this going. I think we should see something where the Common Council meeting is restricted to agenda items. Citizens can speak during that agenda item, I believe, just before the agenda item instead of the beginning of the meeting. And Committee of the Whole doesn't restrict the topic. There's no topic restriction. That would be my preference to see as an option. If there's other options, that would be. I just think we should give some direction so we have something in front of us.
Alder Finkler.
The only thing that I want to make sure is removed out of here that I'm pretty firm on is restricting the topics that can be discussed. I do understand that something abusive or otherwise out of line covers that malicious intent, and the off-topic really could be used wrongfully depending on who the presiding officer is and the topic, and I think that is a risk to be able to put that personal opinion into restricting people that can speak. I just don't think that's right for our constituents.
Alder Reed.
Oh, thank you. I didn't want to insist that the agenda item had to be discussed when we are currently discussing that item. I wanted to leave it as an option to have it before the meeting.
I think that's good direction. Have it both.
Well, is Attorney Johnson clear? He has a confused look.
Can I make a suggestion that
Yes.
we just forward this to the COW and let's work it out at that level rather than tie up the attorney's time and budget? And make sure that we're clear on what we want the attorney to draft for then what would be the April 1st council meeting.
Okay. Right, so we have a motion out there to postpone this till the March 19th COW. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this is postponed until March 19th. Next on the agenda is to approve the claims in the amount of $629,468.61.
Alder Gray moves to approve the claims in the amount of $629,468.61.
Motive will second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Gray and a second by, excuse me, Alder Motive to approve the claims. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Gray.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Motive.
Aye.
Steiner.
Aye.
Relke.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
And then next is report of city officers. Matt?
Just briefly would want to thank the mayor as well as the city. Last week, I was able to attend the Wisconsin City County Management Association Winter Conference. It was a really good experience. A lot of interesting topics, just some highlights. Use of AI in city government. I'll just share all my staff reports are written by me currently. Staff recruitment was a big topic, a lot of retention, a lot of the things that we've talked about, but some other good ideas. And then, number one with any conference was the networking opportunities of the amount of first-year new city administrators is eye-opening. So there were a lot of, there was a full room on a session of just newly appointed administrators. So it was good to hear what was going on in other communities, dealing with some of the obviously same challenges that we're dealing with here in Columbus. So again, good experience and want to thank the city for that opportunity. That's all I have.
That's it? Okay. March and April are big months for employee appreciation days. And I don't want to forget anybody throughout those months. So on behalf of the city, I would like to thank all our city employees for their hard work and dedication to our community. Matt, City Administrator Matt, and Troy Kehoe and I will be attending the Columbia County Spring Local Municipalities meeting on March 7th up at Wyacina. There is currently an opening on the Senior Advisory Board. They meet the first Thursday of the month in the morning, and this will be in place of, and I'm not sure what the term for this particular person, but it's for a member that had resigned from the board. And then March 12th, there will be a blood drive at New Testament Baptist Church, so to all that are able to do so, please do so. Giving blood is very important. With that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion, motion by Alder Finkler,
Gray seconds.
second by Alder Gray to adjourn. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Regular council meeting is adjourned.
I know I normally ask, but I need to use it this time, so 5 minutes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's Columbus Common Council Committee of the Whole meeting. It is Tuesday, March 5th, and it is 7:35 p.m. And with that, I would take a roll call, please.
Finkler.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Hammer.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Reed.
Here.
Roki.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
Acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Thank you. And with that, I would take a motion to approve the agenda.
Alder Gray moves to approve the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Alder Gray and a second from Alder Finkler. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Are there any citizen comments? Anybody who did not get a chance to speak at the Common Council meeting that wants to speak now? Okay, hearing none. Included in your packet tonight, you will find committee and commission minutes from the Cable Commission for 127. I believe that should actually say 24. I think actually, yeah. CHLPC should be 12/13/23. Hillside Cemetery 2/12/24. The library from 1/16 of 24. Recreation from 1/8 of 24, and the Utility Commission from 1/18 of 24.
Madam Roki, I would just like to make a correction.
Yes, ma'am.
That the only minutes included in your packets were Hillside Cemetery, the library, and the Utility Commission. The others will be in the next meeting on the 19th.
Okay. That correction has been noted. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion on that? Okay, hearing none. The next item on the agenda is to discuss the 2024 street construction preliminary assessment report. Jason, I'll hand that to you.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say. I know we submitted the reports as we discussed in the last meeting. And if you recall, there's two reports, one for the residential portion, which is the urban street curb and gutter reconstruction, which covers Selden and Richmond. And there's and that follows our historic policy pretty consistently with what we've done, so we really didn't have any questions about that at the last meeting. And then the second assessment, if you recall, was the commercial, which was the rural section, pulverize, regrade ditching, improve stormwater. And after discussions with all of you at that meeting, I had made some recommendations on how I felt it made sense to apply a policy to be as consistent as fair as possible, even with a different type of project. And so that is what we have before you tonight. So in typical fashion, and I'll just go through these reports. I'm sure you guys spent hours reading these. But what you'll see in there is basically your resolution to approve the report preparation. After that, there will be the bid items that are related to that section or that specific report. And then the assessable items and then they have an explanation. Again, for those of you who haven't seen this, there is a full assessment schedule, which is a large 11 by 17, where that sums all of the different components of the assessment, and that rolls it up into which properties are benefiting and how they're benefiting. So we're calculating that typically off of front footage as benefit. And then all the supporting documentation after that assessment are the detailed breakdowns of how we calculate that, so people can see just how did they get to so many square feet or how many dollars of that. And then at the back is a couple maps. One is just kind of the location map, itemizing all those parcels and the footages that we base that assessment off of. And then lastly is the storm sewer map. And again, when we talk about storm assessments, it's by benefiting area, and sometimes there's multiple areas in a project. These were pretty simple this time around, so they were generally just one benefiting area for the whole assessed area. So that's really the content and extent of the reports. The commercial is set up the exact same way, so again, it'll look very familiar if you go through the first one and see that one as well. So I guess with that, was there any questions or discussions on the reports, content, or how we provided or arrived at the information?
Not on. If there are no questions, is everybody comfortable moving that forward then? Okay, thank you. And so next item on the agenda would be to discuss setting public hearing dates for the 2024 street construction preliminary assessment report. Matt?
Our recommendation is to schedule that for April 1st. It allows us the time we need to send out the notices and to hold that public hearing prior to the council on April 1st.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns about that date? Are we all comfortable moving that forward? Oh, Jason, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify, when we set that public hearing, that we would anticipate that there would be 2 separate public hearings, one for each report, again, just so we don't end up lumping that together. We want to keep the report separate. The public hearing should also be, I think.
Okay. All right. Are we comfortable moving that forward then?
No,
Okay.
we need to, what would be the second date?
Oh,
No. Both,
both?
both on April 1st, one after the other.
Okay. All right. So we're good moving that forward then? All right, perfect. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to discuss the ATV, UTV ordinance changes regarding sunset clause and parking. And Paul, I'm going to go ahead and start with you.
The ordinance in front of you is a complete and total repeal of the sunset clause, and then also has a provision added to it to allow for parking of ATV, UTV in the same manner as vehicles are currently allowed to park wherever that may be within the city limits.
Are there any questions or comments on the ordinance? Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. So I'm glad to see the section on the parking and regular spots. I guess my question / concern, and something I've heard in just loose discussions different times, is wondering whatever happened to our original expectations, parameters, things like, should someone have a driver's license?
Oh. I can answer that. If you recall back when this ordinance was initially adopted, there was a very long conversation among the members of the council at that time because it started out as a very long ordinance with lots of rules in it that weren't necessarily included in the statute. And at the end of the day, the final answer from the council was, we're going to adopt the statute, period. And that is actually what you have in your code right now, is whatever the statute says is what your ordinance says. So there's no additional bells, there's no additional whistles, and there's no additional provisions at all in it. So anything that wasn't required by the statute was removed from the ordinance. So that's where you are now.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to have a discussion on if that's something we should seriously consider, just for the prevention of, drunk driving, really. That's my only concern.
Alder Gray?
Oh, Jared, no long, no? Okay. I saw you hit your light, but,
No, I was twitching.
okay. All right. Didn't want to jump in front. I mean, it's not a bad discussion to have, honestly, what Alder Reed is mentioning, because the initial ordinance, I think a large portion of why council decided to only go with the basic statute was that there was a sunset clause, that it was a temporary ordinance and we were trying something out and we didn't feel the need to impose a bunch of extra rules or regulations. If this is a permanent ordinance, then reevaluating and relooking at things of that nature is probably pretty prudent, honestly. Because like right now, you don't have to have a license. You don't have to have, there are a lot of things that anyone else driving any other vehicle has to abide by that these vehicles don't. So that is, I think it's a viable discussion to have.
Aldermotive?
Is that correct? They don't have to have a license?
They do.
Yeah.
They do, and you can still get a drunk driving. Yes.
You can get a
Yeah.
drunk, but not a, you have to have a,
ATV, yes, just like
an
snowmobiles,
ATV
same
license.
thing.
I think you're right, ma'am. I think that's why we went with the statute, because Chief Weiner and Attorney Johnson both told us that they could issue the drunk driving tickets.
Yes.
The rules are a little bit different, but it's still there.
Right, but do you have to have an actual driver's license?
If you give me a minute, I'll let you know. But
I
I think
believe
that
you-
answer is yes.
Is it? Okay. For some reason, I thought it wasn't when we,
I think like, there's snowmobile safety classes.
right, but it's not driving on a street, it's not a driving license.
Right.
Like, you could be 14 years old and drive an ATV. You can't be 14 years old, so,
Alder Finkler, I saw your light first.
I think we might be stepping outside of what is on the agenda, and that's the sunset clause in parking right now. And I think that's what we should be talking about. If you would like to give direction to Attorney Johnson to look into that for later and potential bringing it back to COW to discuss, that's fine, but I think we should be discussing sunset clause in parking.
I agree.
Are there any other questions or concerns with the ordinance as presented with sunset clause and parking? Alder Reed?
Oh, no, thank you. That was my only, my only concern. And when I had spoken with the chief recently, he was also concerned about us not having anything in our ordinance about licensure. So I would think it would behoove us to look into it.
Can we make a request to have that added to the next COW agenda to discuss?
Alder Gray?
I make a motion to postpone the ordinance 98317D till our next committee of the whole.
We don't make motions in COW?
Yes, we
I thought?
sure
Oh, we
can.
do? Oh, didn't you just say this earlier?
You don't have to if you want it to move forward to the
Okay, you
regular
don't
meeting.
have
If
to
you
be
don't
rude
want
to me. I
you
was
have to.
just questioning. Calm down.
So, I guess maybe my point is mute. If you're adding that into that, and we've already had some discussion of it tonight, does it even have to go to the COW? Can it not be brought to the meeting with the update in there?
We're having a discussion.
Hmm?
We're not moving it up, we're just discussing.
We need to decide if we're going to move this forward, and then a separate discussion has been requested to be on the next COW, so we can continue to talk about the licensure and drunk driving.
Alder Finkler?
And I think that should be handled second. I think we're getting dangerously close to the sunset clause sunsetting, and I think all we're doing is postponing and postponing and postponing. I mean, the chief came up here and sat in front of all of us and said he has absolutely no concerns. So I think that if there is concerns now, we really should make that its own agenda item for the next COW and move forward on the sunset clause in parking, because, I mean, it's not going to matter either way. I mean, because we're only touching right now the sunset clause in parking. We're not all of a sudden making it okay for people to drive drunk on UTVs. Like, that's not what we're doing. So I think we're really trying to postpone something that should not be postponed.
Alder Gray?
Just a point of order, I made a motion, so all of this discussion is actually out of order. So we need to actually follow procedures.
Sorry, was there a second on your motion?
No, but
Don't
that's
recall.
what we should be
Okay.
searching for.
Is there a second for the motion? Okay, without a second, that motion dies. Are we comfortable bringing this portion forward for a vote to the next council meeting, and also adding to the next COW, discussing licensure and drunk driving, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we make sure Chief Weiner's here? At next COW, and if he can't be, we'll have to maybe bump it to the next COW, but I want him here for that discussion.
Matt, do you know what staff needs to do?
I would just note that Chief's on vacation this week and came in for the Police Fire Commission earlier this evening. He's been very responsive on email while he's out on vacation. I have no doubt that he'll be able to be here at our next meeting.
Thank you. Then this will move forward for a vote. Next item on the agenda is to discuss the revised chicken permit ordinance. Paul, I'll let you start.
The chicken permit ordinance has been modified to do two things. First, in some instances, keep the applications from coming to the council. As I was going through the ordinance, I noticed that there is when an application is filed with the city clerk, the clerk is required to give notice to all of the neighbors within 200 feet, if I remember correctly. And that is why it ended up being a council approval process, so that any objecting neighbor could come in and object. So I do believe that it's a good idea to make these an administrative duty unless there would happen to be an objection. So I changed the ordinance so that the notice still goes out to all of the affected owners or the neighboring landowners. If there is no objection, then the city clerk can grant the license administratively. If there is an objection, it's still going to come to the council because somebody has to hear the objection, and it shouldn't be the clerk. So that's what you have in front of you, and open for discussion after that.
Thank you. Alder Gray?
If I remember correctly, they're not allowed to have a rooster, right? Just chickens.
That's correct.
I don't really see a strong need for you to have to notify people that you're going to have a chicken and that they should have the right to object. We don't do that with a cat. We don't do that with a dog. What's the difference? Like, you can have a parrot in your house 10 times louder than any chicken. Like, this just seems absurd to me. Like, I don't think we need it. If they're not allowed roosters, which would be the caveat for me, like if you could have a rooster, yeah, you should probably notify your neighbors that you're going to get a rooster. But they're just hens. Like, what are they doing but eating ticks and bugs and keeping, like, it's making eggs? Like, I don't get it. No need.
Alder Moda?
I have a question that I'm sure Attorney Johnson's going to think that I'm crazy, but is this still keeping there that this has to be reviewed to make sure that it's within the proper boundaries and all of that?
We now have an expert on chicken coops, and yes, that is still part of the deal.
Any further questions or concerns? Alder Finkler?
To piggyback off of what Alder Gray was talking about, do we have a reason why we did choose in the past to notify all landowners with 200 feet?
The reason well, my recollection is that the reason that the 200 feet rule is in there is because it was in the ordinance from another community that I drafted, and they thought it was a really good idea. I believe the background is, number one, chickens do make noise, not a tremendous amount, as Alder Gray indicated. They sometimes do get rather smelly. And in certain neighborhoods, and this was more true in the other community than it is in this one, in certain neighborhoods, foxes and coyotes and animals from the woods like chickens. So that was a concern. Probably not so much here, but that's why it's there to begin with.
Do you not follow the adventures of the Columbus fox? Sorry, just, all right. I just had, no, I'm just kidding. I just want to know the history, but I'm just razzing you.
Alder Gray?
No, I don't think it's necessary. I think it's extra cost, it's extra work, it's extra everything on our clerk and our community. I don't believe it's a necessity to be in there. I would like to just see it removed from the ordinance and then move the rest forward, personally. I don't.
Mayor Hammer?
Well, does anybody know, has there been any complaints? I mean, none that I've
heard? Or?
If a chicken escapes sometimes.
Well, yeah.
But that's.
There was one application early on that drew a few people coming in to object, and I can't exactly remember why. I think it had something to do with proximity to the neighbor's house. I think that was the concern, and I think that was ultimately withdrawn and didn't go forward. But that was several years ago.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
In an instance like that, what is the recourse if a resident has a concern? Is there a process that it is reviewed and that there can be action taken by the council?
There is a revocation process in the, there's a non-renewal process in the ordinance, and I believe there is a revocation process in there as well. So are you thinking about eliminating the license altogether? Or just the notice part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's extra work for the clerk that she doesn't need to do.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I would lean towards leaving the notice in for immediate adjoining properties, just because it can be a bit of a nuisance, although we're going to make sure that they're not right next to the property line. I just feel like we should have the courtesy to make sure it's okay with the neighbors. And the main complaints I remember, the only time we had to take back a permit, I think it was 30 chickens under a trampoline. Yes.
Out of ordinance anyway.
Yeah.
Alder Gray.
So, I mean, in my opinion, so even if we notify everyone within 200 feet and they filed a complaint, if that person was within their rights, the coop was appropriate, everything was appropriate, we're not going to deny it to them anyway. So I just think it's superfluous, it's additional work for our clerk, and if there was an actual issue, like the coop was in the wrong location, then the permit wouldn't be granted anyway. If it was unsightly or it was, attracting pests and things, there's ordinances for that and there's recourses for that. I don't think any of it's relevant to, I don't believe we need it.
Alder Steiner?
I would just agree with Alder Gray there. If you're going to have chickens, your neighbors are going to find out one way or the other, and if you're going to have a complaint, you're going to come in and complain. Having us go through and notify beforehand isn't going to change any aspect of that. It's just going to create more work for the city and kind of in an unnecessary fashion. Who do you contact, why are you contacting them, and they're going to find out one way or the other. If they have an issue, they'll find an issue.
Alder Finkler?
I would tend to agree that if they are meeting all of the requirements for the permit, we're probably not going to deny them, even if they came up and spoke about it. So I would agree on that and save some administrative work.
Attorney Johnson?
So bring this back to the next cow, eliminate the council approval, eliminate the notice to the all neighbors, or just 200 feet rule, and make this a purely administrative thing, subject to city clerk and building inspector doing their things.
Yeah.
Yes. Eliminating all neighbors.
Yeah.
Well,
Make
don't
it
eliminate the neighbors.
like a dog license. but-
That's a felony, I'm not gonna do that.
My only question of clarification is back to the cow, or is this consensus and you wanted it at the council?
I'm okay at council.
Are we all okay moving that forward for a vote then, with the changes stipulated? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to discuss athletic field agreements with the CASO and the CBO. And Amy, Joe, are you speaking on those, or, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening. So the first one in front of you is for the soccer agreement with the Columbus Area Youth Soccer Association and the Columbus Baseball Organization. There's no changes from 2023. We're recommending to move it forward to 2024. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? We're comfortable moving this forward? Okay, thank you. And so then the
Easy.
CSA.
CSA. Similar to CASO and CBO, CSA will be exactly the same with the exception of the CSA now has a travel team. And as I mentioned in my notes, I went to a couple of their meetings and listened to the discussion that the CSA had. Teddy Decker is the president of the CSA. I brought the idea forward to the Recreation Committee. We agreed that we were okay with it, with a few different items. If they're playing on the travel team, they have to be rostered with the CSA so that we can have more Columbus residents on the team if possible. They are providing their own insurance under the umbrella of the CSA, and they also will pay the city their $10 and $20 fee to the city as well, as a separate rostered team. So.
Any questions? Are we comfortable moving this forward then? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to discuss the CDI resolution, Lopnow. Matt, go ahead and start.
I'm going to let Mike handle this one if he's prepared. He's been working with the applicant and understands the program much better than I do.
Yeah, good evening. We continue to work with downtown businesses and downtown revitalization. Keith Lopnow has applied for a community development investment grant. He's in the process of applying for that. And one of the requirements is there's a resolution of support from the city to do that. We currently we just closed out on a different CDI grant on a downtown project for housing. That process required the city to be the applicant. Now the rules have changed and allow the property owner to be the applicant. So there's no financial, no fiscal responsibility on the grant, just a resolution of support. And this project is right in line with the stuff we want to see in downtown. So we're excited about the project, and I think he has, of course, there's more applications, requests for money to the state, to WEDC than what is available, but I think he has a very competitive application. So I think this is exactly the kind of thing we want to see in the city, and this is a great way for the city to partner with a business to help make good things happen in Columbus.
Alder Gray?
No, I think it's only logical for us to support it. Just to clarify, there is no cost to the city. This isn't anything that, it's just us supporting him applying for a grant.
Right.
Like, I can't see any reason to say.
There's no administrative things because we're not the applicant.
Yeah, it's perfect.
With the other grant, we had some responsibilities, but with this new process, it actually is easier on the city.
Right.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Are we comfortable moving this forward? Alder Reed.
Well, thank you. No, I think I'm comfortable. I know the applicant is saying they're planning to invest approximately $900,000 into the project. Do we know if much of that would likely go towards the retail area, or would it be residential?
Both.
Just questions.
Both. There's the one-story commercial building, and then there's a facade renovation on the first floor of the corner building, which includes replacement or reestablishing the original windows. So there's some other things tied to that for ADA for both the commercial and the residential part of the building. But the grant is supports mixed-use residential and commercial in downtown. So that's kind of the focus of the grant, is to support these kind of projects.
Okay, thank you. Would this be for facade work specifically for this kind of grant, or is it pretty open?
It's very wide-ranging, so it's for completely new buildings. It can be for interior renovation. It can be for facades. the entire aspect of, it could be a renovation of an existing building or a brand-new building in a downtown situation where they, in this case, they tore down an old building and are replacing it with a newer one. So all those are right in line with the goals of the Community Development Investment Grant with WEDC.
Alder Gray?
Oh, I'm still on. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Alder Motive?
I think we should support this. We need to get that hole in the street filled, and I'm hoping they're going to use the funds for that.
Is everybody comfortable moving this forward for a vote? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is to convene to close session per state statute 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically to review proposals received in response to the request for proposals for 1400 Park Avenue, and I would take a motion for the same.
Alder Motive will make a motion to move to closed session per 19851E.
Gray seconds.
Thank you. I have a motion from Alder Motive and a second from Alder Gray. May I have a roll call, please?
Steiner.
Aye.
Relke.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Motive.
Aye.
Hammer.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
We are in closed session.
Really? Well, there's one of three ways this goes.
Amy, will you announce that we are not going back on TV at the conclusion of the closed session?
We will not be going back onto TV tonight at the conclusion of the closed session. Thank you for watching. Have a nice evening.